Alrighty, so we're going to take a look at what should be bottom of the pack, maybe a last place saw. Well, I mean, it should be. If this thing doesn't come in last place, like if I actually beat some ported saws, can I talk smack? You know what I mean? So yeah, we're going to take this to a race, and it is nothing, not even close to a race saw. We're just taking it. We're gonna have some fun. You know, we're gonna run the class and have fun. It is a Holtzfforma 3120, which is the clone of the Husqvarna 3120. I've done a bunch of work to it. We are looking to give it its very first start here today. I've never fired this saw up, and I've already done a bunch of modifications to it. So, yeah. We should expect this to come out kind of bottom of the pack because I've never done any porting on this saw. It is still 100% factory. I've not touched it. I've done other modifications, but no porting whatsoever. It's still the factory saw. And we're going to show up at a race like this. That's why I'm saying, so if I beat somebody who actually ported their saw, can I have, or am I allowed to talk smack on them? Because they just got beat by a stock saw, basically. I mean, I've done modifications, but as far as the engine's concerned, it's stock. And all these other modifications are stuff that they should have done. So they should, theoretically, whoop my butt. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I'll turn your camera around and show you the saw. I mean, this thing looks 100% like it's ported, like it should be performing phenomenally at a race or whatever, but it's not ported. It's still factory. Every single thing else that I could have done is done. Everything except porting it. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a minute. Alrighty, here we go. All right, there she is, Holtzfforma 3120. So whenever I start it here, I have to have the top cover off in order to get to the idle adjustment screw, and I'll show you that more here in a second. That's why the top cover isn't on. But this is it, the 3120 clone. I've been hacking at it, modifying it, and I decided I'm going to build two of these. I have one, I want to get another one. So I decided I'm going to build this one like the firewood style racer. It's going to be a gas port job, you know, and so forth. I really want to have one of these set up like that, but I also want to do another one that's full tilt, alcohol, nitromethane, all that stuff. Then I decided instead of just building one, I'm going to build two, you know? So we're going to set this one up as to be my gas ported version. And then I'll acquire another one down the road that we will try to go full tilt on, nitromethane, expansion chamber, the whole 9 yards, you know what I mean? But what we got going on here is, you know, we put the starter handle on it because this is a cold start race, which means you have to start the saw. You know, that's part of the race itself, so I put a starter handle on here to make it easier. We switched it over to an 880 carburetor. That carburetor is off an 880, well, it's an 880 clone. This elbow you see here is off of a partner concrete saw. So this elbow assembly is just off a partner concrete saw. And I just clamped this air filter to it. That way I'd have some air filtration, you know what I mean? I probably could have left it as a stock setup, honestly. I put this on here because I felt like it, really. I had to make some modifications. So this is the original air filter housing thingy. I hacked it all off. That's just because I needed it for the cable mount. That's on there. And I need it off because the idle adjustment screw on the 880 carburetor sits down kind of deep. And I need that access to get to that air or the idle adjustment. I've never fired the saw, so I need this off to kind of get that idle adjusted. The choke rod is off of that partner concrete saw as well. The original one has a big hoop in it and everything. I didn't need that, and since I had this one, I went ahead and put it on. So that's off that concrete saw. Compression release is still intact. Of course, I've never had the cylinder off, so I couldn't tell you. The dogs are still on there, but I just rounded them off. so there's no spiky things to snag on the wood during the race. I set it up with a 20-inch bar, and if you can't tell, she's got a lot of the race modifications are pretty much done. There's still just a few more tweaks, but just about all the racing modifications are done. It is a square chain. I still got to go through and do a little bit more work for chip clearing, and I gotta sharpen the teeth yet. This has been ground on, but it's not a full-blown race grind, if you know what I mean. So it may not cut the fastest, but we're gonna try it anyway, you know what I mean? But a lot of modifications are done. We're just not 100% done yet. The muffler mod, I decided to go with a single outlet, which is huge. It's 1.5 inches. I was thinking about going with a dual port setup, but then I decided to just go with a single port 1.5 inch setup. But this pipe does not end right here. It actually extends about halfway in to the muffler, and I left it attached on the back side, this side here. So that pipe actually extends halfway in, and then I cut like this side of the pipe out on the front side. So there's like a baffle there. Probably ain't gonna do much baffling at all, but some of a baffle to help keep some of the noise under control. I hope it helps. I've not fired it yet, so I hope it sounds decent. But yeah, that's a 1.5 inch single port mod on this guy. I hope it sounds as good as it mean as it looks. You know what I mean? But that's it. That's pretty much all I've done. She looks like she's going to be a full-blown race build. You know what I mean? For like a gas build or whatever. But she's not. She's still completely stock engine that I've never fired. It should be kind of amusing. It's going to look good, but it ain't going to go nowhere in a hurry. So what do you say? I'm going to go ahead and get this thing fired up and work at getting this thing tuned. I mean, I had to put a custom impulse setup. It's running from the transfer to the carburetor, just because the 880 carburetor, the impulse, has its external, where the 3120 style carb goes through the intake. So I had to change all that up, and there's not really much else to say besides just kind of show you the saw. Let's get her fired up and put her in some wood. You'll get to see what a stock Holtzfforma performs like or whatever in this configuration without any port work. We got the muffler mod, we got all the carb mods are done. The chain should be pretty fast. It is a square chain with a lot of modifications done to it, but it doesn't have the racing profile of a grind on it. So it should be pretty fast, but it ain't going to be, all of it fast. It should perform pretty decent for a stock saw. So, what do you say we get this thing fired up? Alrighty? Probably going to back camera up a little bit because you're a little too close. Alright, that should be better. If you're too close, I have to put the camera back a bit. If you're too close, it really gets distorted. I try to keep it as close as I can, but sometimes I get them too close. But I try. I don't use external microphones and stuff. It's just an extra pain in the butt. And I just cut my hand on that chain. In case you didn't notice, I stuck myself with that chain on my hand. Now I'm probably going to get blood all over myself. So the switch is on. Choke is out. Compression release is pulled. Let's see if we can get her to go. I don't know. I might have to drop start this. We'll see if I can get it here. Ooh, compression. All right, we might have to drop start this. Boy, she's trying. She's trying really hard to smack me in the hand. She's ripping the cord out of my hand. Let me back you up a little more. I'm gonna zoom you out as far as I can. All right, we're gonna have to drop start this guy. All right, here we go. All right, we'll try that for now. Definitely don't have the spunk that a ported saw does it? Sounds cool. Definitely don't have that spunk though. We'll get there. She runs. Let's get this top cover on. Tighten the chain up a little bit. She stretched a little. And we'll put her into the wood. I don't think the bar oiler hole is lined up correctly because it's coming out all over the place at the clutch cover. And it's not so much on the bar. So I'll have to take a look at that. But otherwise, I don't see any issues yet. Other than the fact it's not ported. You know what I mean? Which actually sounds pretty good. I'm kind of surprised that muffler mod turned out better than I thought it would. It sounds pretty good. It should sound really good once it's ported. She definitely got some sluggishness to it though. You know, she's not ported, so she ain't going to be as spunky. Let's get a scrunch and tighten that chain up. Alrighty, let's take her down, see what she does in the wood. Alright, let's see if she restarts easy. Well, it's a good thing I needed to resharpen that chain, huh? I definitely hit something. I seen the sparks. I don't know if you could. I hit sparks. It was in this cookie right here. There's something in there. I don't see it. Yeah, I definitely hit something on this cut right here. I don't know. I had to wrench on it to get her to cut anything. And that cleared the corners off. Pretty good. I'm going to have to take a decent chunk off to get her sharpened up. But other than that, I think we're good to go. So, in case you were wondering why I said I think it's going to come in last place, or it should come in last place, now you know why. These saws need some work in order to really get them to turn up. You know what I mean? Oh, I forgot to tell you, I swapped out the coil too. That is an unlimited coil. So, yeah, that was done as well. But there she is. That's what we're going to take and run. You know, I think the best thing it's got going for it right now is the chain. And it's nothing even close to what it'll take to even try to keep up. Because the saws that I'm up against are going to turn, I don't know. Each one of those cuts, by the time I would be through one cut on this piece of wood, those ones that I'm up against would have made 6 or 8 cuts, probably 8 cuts by the time I got through one, maybe even 10. Probably a 10-to-1 difference, just to give you an idea. I should come in last. And if I don't, against a ported saw, something's wrong. I might have to do some smack talk. So there we go. The 3120 is a running saw. She's good to go. You know what I mean? Definitely not going to be fast at all. I ain't got the time to get into doing the full build. So I went ahead and just did this stuff. Got it as a running saw that we can take and run in that class. That's really all we're doing, is just making an appearance and making a run. It'll give me a little practice for the cold start. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. I need a lot of practice on the cold start, and this will help give me some of that practice, you know? And I don't know, some of you probably already noticed. Don't worry, I didn't get punched in the eye. It's, you can see it's all freaking, can you see? It's all freaking swollen up right through here, or through here. This morning when I was walking out the door, a bee stung me right here, and it's been swelling up. It just keeps getting worse and worse. Imagine by morning my eye might be swelled shut, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just a bee sting this morning. It's funny too, because it was early enough that, I mean, it's pitch black out. I leave probably an hour and a half before it gets daylight. And that bee I think it was sitting on the door or something, and when I swung the door open, it just freaking bang, hit me hard. And the stinger, so the bee got stuck too. So it hit me, it stung me, but then it was stuck and sitting there buzzing around and everything. But my hands were full. I had my lunch in my hands and everything. So I had to turn around and put everything down before I could go back outside and swat it off my face. So there's a good 15 seconds that I had to deal with the bee freaking sitting there, just a stinger sticking in me and freaking, you know what I mean? That was annoying. It hurt pretty good too. So yeah, that's all it is. I didn't get punched in the face or nothing. It just got stung by a bee this morning. You know, it's a sensitive spot to get stung. I usually don't swell up at all when I get stung. This is probably the 4th or 5th time this year I got stung, and this is the first time I've had any swelling. I think it's just because it's right here. It's a sensitive spot, you know. But yeah, that's it. 3120, good to go. I'll make a couple more test runs with it. I'll get the chain resharpened and just give it a couple of runs. That was the first time it was ever started. I still got some tuning to do. I got to take the cover off, make some more tuning cuts. I got to adjust on that idle screw a little bit. I can't get that idle just right unless I get into that idle screw some. So, you know, we'll get into that here in the future. But yeah, she's a running saw, and it's not fast at all. But if it actually beats somebody, I don't know. You tell me. Alrighty, later.